Well, I watched the first episode and this show was really intense. This time I watched it late at night because I was a little nervous, but I will say I thought to myself, we gotta slow down. I watched a good portion of the episode and things were heated, but then it got really heated. I was like, oh no.
I can't have that.
No. I don't think this car has brakes in it, guys. I don't think this car is gonna stop. So before we get into this, hello, my name's Amanda. You know me, or Vamp. You know who I am. We're here to talk about The Penguin. Season 1, Episode 2. And this episode is quite a doozy. It really takes what happened last episode and just heats it up more. I'm going to talk about what happens in the episode, so fair warning, spoilers ahead, and then we're going to get into it, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I loved about this episode, what I thought really worked, and if I think there's any room here for improvement, what I'd like to see more of in future episodes. So basically, this episode is Alberto's funeral. If I had to sum it up in the shortest form, that's what I would say is happening here. Behind the scenes, there's a lot going on for each character. Sophia is dealing with the loss of her brother, which is messing her up, and she's also dealing with a sense of a loss of control as this woman in the family who wants to be more in charge, but clearly everyone's trying to sweep her under the rug. What Oz is dealing with is he is dealing with the fact that he has made promises to a lot of people, and now we're trying to see where his true allegiances lie, which is very interesting. And Vic is also going through some stuff in this episode, and I think is trying to figure out kind of what he's doing here and what he wants to be doing here. Does he want to be here? I don't know. There's a lot going on in terms of the mafia houses and what they're up to as well, but that's basically most of it. Most of the main pieces are on the board. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this episode that I'm very excited to start with, it's how the episode starts, actually. We're going to start it off with Sophia Falcone. Now, you probably know if you've watched my episode 1 review that right out of the gate, I just loved Sophia. I really felt like her character was super interesting. The performance is amazing. And we do get to start off with her in this episode, which I was very excited about when I started it. And we get to see her going to visit her brother. Her brother's more visiting her while she's in Arkham. But then we find out this is a dream. And then we find out she's in a therapist's office and she's getting therapy and she's, dealing with this sense of the loss of her brother, and even her vision is messed up. So I don't know what I thought with it maybe slowing down. That episode actually started and I was like, oh, and now he's going to be killed. But I was very excited to actually see Michael Zegan here because he is a really amazing actor, and I personally loved him in Mrs. Maisel, and I love him here, and I was sad that he got killed in the first episode. Rest in peace, Alberto. So it's cool to see him coming back in this capacity in like flashbacks or video footage or, dream sequences, things like that. I hope we get to see more of him because he's a great actor and he should get to do good stuff because he's good at what he does. So coming back to the therapy session though, Sophia ends up getting grounded sort of by her therapist, who also literally goes around and grabs her. I don't know if that's allowed in general in therapy sessions for your therapist to just come over and grab you like that, but I don't know. In Gotham, I don't know what the laws are. Is there law in Gotham? Everything's corrupt. So anyways, he comes up behind her and he's trying to subdue her, and he's reminding her, you're here, you're not in that place that you were at in your mind. You're here, you're safe, you're not in Arkham. Obviously, she has some PTSD, so it would make sense that this is something that I think he has to deal with probably on a regular basis. Just her having these awful flashbacks to terrible things that happened to her. And so she ends up coming down, but they also kind of have this look at each other. I was like, is something going on here? Is her therapist into her? Is she into her therapist? I don't know if something sexy is happening or if that was just a very intimate moment, but something sexy also might be happening. The whole scene with Sophia and her cousin in this episode as well is just Jesus. This, goodness, this scene, it blows my mind. So Sophia, when she's at Alberto's funeral, is approached by her cousin. Her cousin comes up and is, gushing to her. She's saying, I love your dress. You always had great style. She's talking about the old days when they would go to Italy for the summer, by Como Lake, I think they say it is, or something like that. And they're talking about, we used to go up there, we used to flirt with the boys, we got in trouble. We should do that again. And Sophia has such a fascinating reaction to this. She is both wary, she is both intrigued. At the same time, it's like her guard is up, but she's also like really wants to bring it down. Like you get this sense that she really wants to believe that her cousin just wants to talk to her. And obviously there's a sense that everyone is terrified of Sophia, or that she brings this reaction to people where people just think she's completely crazy. So she really wants her cousin to want to just hang with her, I think. And then her cousin's daughter comes up and she basically says, she needs help with like her clip or something. And Sophia immediately is like, oh, I'll help. And then this is when her cousin, she's like, no, don't touch my kid, basically. She doesn't quite say that, but she's like, no, it's okay. And you can tell that she's scared of Sophia in this moment, scared of her being around her child, which is so messed up. And Sophia is just like, no, it's okay. I got it. And in that moment, she is like, you want to see crazy? There's just so much subtext that happens in this conversation. And it's so tense. And it's just a family interaction. It's not anything major, but they make it into something big. And that is what I'm talking about when I say that this show feels like it's really bringing film back. And it's like HBO in that good way. If you just feel like, oh man, the power of film. This little girl just needs a clip put in her hair, but that could be such a big moment for these characters. It can mean so much more. So I thought that was really cool. And yeah, just some great Sophia moments in this episode. So I really loved that. Speaking of great moments, the Penguin also has some of those. The Penguin here is so interesting because he's really trying to play almost all sides. And I'm just wondering what of what he's saying is true and what of what he's saying is a lie, and does he actually mean anything that he says? Because he tells a lot of lies in this episode. We catch him telling Sophia that his mother is dead, which we know is not true. We catch him talking to, so many people about things that are just going on in his life and just not being honest. Eve, he says, oh, it's work stuff, when then we cut to him with his mom, so clearly it's family stuff. And it's just like, I guess a lot of the secrets are involving his mother, but there is so much that he's just playing all the sides. And I just don't think you can trust Oz. I feel like he is a master manipulator. And I don't even think the story he tells Vic about Pinchy and how he initially got in with the family and became, Falcone's guy was true. I think that's a lie. I don't even know why I think it's a lie. I just don't think it's true. I just don't think Pinchy just randomly died and then he was brought in. I think he orchestrated Pinchy's death because that's what I think the Penguin does. I think the Penguin is this master manipulator that everyone underestimates him, and he's actually pretty smart and pretty savvy. We also learned in this episode, which I thought was kind of interesting, that he speaks fluent Spanish. We also see him in situations come up with such quick solutions. I just feel like he's always prepared. Like, even when things are going wrong, he's so good that he can turn it into a right. And that is the thing that I really like about this episode and this show and how it's continuing, is it does feel like there's always pressure on all sides, but it also feels kind of carefully orchestrated in a way. It's like beautiful chaos. It's like chaos turned into a sense of purpose. And I think that maybe Oz has more to do with this and would claim to have more to do with this at some point than we initially are being led to think here. It does feel like things are just constantly going crazy, but I feel like that's, like, I don't want to say it's all on purpose, because I definitely think things have gone wild and he's just turned it into a win. But I feel like he's always just prepared for chaos, maybe. Or maybe that's where he works best. I don't know, but I love this sense of chaos always being present in the show, combined with this sense of like carefully orchestrated plans that have a tendency to go sideways and then in a weird way work out, but only so everything is just barely holding on. That's what it feels like. It's very exciting. It's very exciting to watch. I also thought it was interesting how Oz treats Vic in this episode. There's at one point Vic messes up the planting of evidence in Vidi's vehicle and ends up getting like tossed into, well, is in a grave, digging a grave for people and for bodies. And then Oz just says, no, like lay down in there with them. Like see what that's like, because that's where you could have been. That's where you could be one day. That's where I could have been today because you messed up that bad. And it just is so interesting because I feel like Oz has this sense of compassion for people. He is like a kind person, but he also is such a cruel person at the same time. And it makes me feel like the stuff that he's doing, where Vic is like his driver, and then he talks about being Pinchy's driver, that there's a lot of stuff that he's been put through that he's putting on Vic. And so even when he says, you know, in the beginning that like Vic kind of reminds him of himself, I think we're seeing all the abuse he's gone through, him putting it onto Vic. It's his trauma that's being made manifest here, what he's doing to him, because that's how he was treated, and he thinks that's how I have to do it. So yeah, it's just very fascinating. I would love to learn more about also what he has actually been through in his past and see the truth about some things. I also feel like he's getting more of a limp as time goes on, and he's becoming more penguin-like with his movements, which is fun to watch. I'm very curious to see, though, if we keep going at this pace, where we'll be at the end of the show. It might be too much. I don't know if Colin Farrell might be like falling over as Penguin to do fully reaching to each side of the floor. In this episode, we also got a Riddler name drop. We got a No Man's Land reference. I love a No Man's Land reference. So that was really cool. That was really appropriate. And I just want to say that I think overall the pacing of the show is so good. Just the way everything flows into each other, the evolution of the story and how that's attached to the characters, the small moments. I'm really enjoying it, and time just flies by when I watch this show. That's how enthralled I am. I love that we also end it with Sophia and Oz teaming up, something that I think is going to be such a mess, and I can't wait to see how messy it gets. And I can't wait to see if this is actually a real team up or not, but I don't think so. I don't think any of Oz's team-ups are real team-ups. I think Oz is just looking out for Oz. He's looking out for number one. So that's what I gotta say about this episode. Overall, I give it a 5 out of 5. It honestly was flawless, and I would give it a 6 out of 5 if I could. I will. 6 out of 5, because Sophia, gosh, I just love Sophia so much. I'm so excited. I'm going to go back and read all the stuff. I'm going to go and I'm going to read The Long Halloween. I'm going to read Sophia in there, and it's going to be awesome. I'm getting so excited for fall, guys. This is part of it. So I can't wait to talk to you next time about episode 3. I'm sure it's going to be a doozy. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'll see you down there. But until then, friends, stay nerdy. All right. Bye.